So that's been is about as comfortable a win I've ever seen against a Hibs team, especially Easter Road. Usually it's feisty, it's fiery. We're kind of on the edge of your seat for the full 90 minutes. There's usually a sending off, plenty of bookings, but
it was easy street, to be honest. I mean, I've been saying it for weeks, obviously. Before the international break, well, it wasn't an international break, sorry, before the winter break, I was saying that I think we will take a good few off them, because I know they have this tendency to play out for the back, coast them once the night, but they tend to just be kind of open. And like, that's the teams that we can have an easy time against. We struggle against teams who are going to sit 11 men behind the ball ultimately. But I think the night you seen it, it suited us with plenty of chances, scored plenty of goals, could have probably scored more. I think Lawrence obviously had that fourth one in the back of the net that was off by a mil or two. Do you know what I mean? But
I don't think it was offside.
It was comfortable.
I'm just saying that. I don't think that was offside.
No.
As I say during the game, like, see when you're in, unless without automated VAR, there's so much margin for error, because at the end of the day you're physically drawing a line, and that margin for error is there.
It's silly as well, mate. It's kind of, they've over officiated with the VAR to the extent that, I mean, that's classed as offside now. I've always said I think you should need to draw the line, and the defender should be on one side of the line and the striker on the other or something. When you're starting to say people are offside because they're leaning over or half of their foot's offside, I mean, this is becoming ridiculous.
Well, not to start this halfway the offside thing, but I think they are starting. I think they are going to end up doing that. Like, the whole body's offside, because at the end of the day, if as a defender, a striker's got a whole, like, that amount of yardage on you, that should be doing it to the defender. Because
it's always going to be in favour of the defender, because they're always going to have a tendency to run that way, and then the striker's obviously running towards their goal. So it's silly, to be honest. It's a bit like the handball rule and all that as well. But look, they've done enough. The whole Scottish football done enough complaining about refereeing and VAR decisions over the last 6 months, but especially in the aftermath of the Old Firm and handball and all this. So let's just leave it there. It's stupid. They need to do something about it. They need to fix it. But it's a good night for us as we close the gap to 5 points with a game in hand.
The start of the game, I think I seen a lot for. I liked a lot for Yilmaz. More and more I want to keep him every time I see him play. I maybe thought before this game, I thought to myself, maybe it's just a wee spell, maybe it's just a wee period, and the club were still looking. There was rumours flying about that the club were still looking to maybe sell him, but like, every time I see him play, I don't want to sell him. The only thing that he had that was maybe missing for his play was that final ball, but that to me is getting better and better and better. And the thing is, like, there's players within that team that we should be looking to sell, we should be looking to move on or end the contract over Yilmaz. I think he's been one of the better performers.
To be fair, man, like, I've been, and like a lot of Rangers fans, I think kind of heavy critical of Yilmaz because, well, obviously he wasn't getting much game time, but when he was getting game time, he didn't seem to be doing enough. But I think honestly all he's needed is a decent run in the team. And we're not saying he's a world beater by any stretch of the imagination, but since he's come in and had a consistent starting role, he's developing, he's improving, he's getting better. Do you know what? Him and compared to Barisic, I would say he blows Barisic's energy out of the. You know,
he tries to take every touch. His first touch is positive. And when you're a team like Rangers, when you're on the front foot all the time, you can't have a player like Barisic whose first thought is to play the safe pass. You just can't have it. And obviously Clement, how many times has he played Barisic? More than maybe once, twice? Since he came in, we've obviously seen him a couple of times, but Yilmaz is the mainstay in the team, and rightfully so. You can't have if you want to keep piling, even when you're playing against a low block, you want to keep that low block at least under pressure all the time to avoid a counter-attack. You can't do that and let them
The thing about Barisic is I think he's just one of the players, a bit like we seen with Kent, Morelos. He's just kind of been there for too long. He looks like he's maybe not enjoying it as much as he once did. And honestly, another thing as well is I think he's just had it far too comfortable for too long. Like when there's nobody breathing down your neck and you're not thinking, oh, am I got to be replaced if I don't have the greatest game, or if I'm not performing to a certain standard in training or
he
whatever.
Was spoiled. I think with previous managers, I think he was spoiled.
Guaranteed the left back position, so he seemed to have lost his way a bit. But with Yilmaz, like I say, he's improving and stuff like that. His height's always going to be a bit of a problem. I don't think it's as much of a problem even if you're a left winger or you're a centre midfielder, a striker or anything like that. I'm no normally wanting to go, he's too wee or whatever, but it could potentially be a problem. I think there was one time the night as well where a Hibs boy at the back post, he's beat him to the header, but obviously he's gave him a wee push in the back, right? I'm not saying for sure his height is going to be a problem, but it could be. Hopefully
Some finish.
Exactly. I mean, you said about his final ball, but
let me say, like John Lundstrom's, see that chip through ball, that was phenomenal. And to be honest, like Lundstrom, as much as we want to turn around and say like, oh, he's not been worth the wage, or as much as we've thought like we'll just let the contract run out and move him on, it's time to move him on. Under Clement, Lundstrom has easily been up there with one of our top 3 key players.
Can't
hands down.
That.
I know, like if you set the Old Firm aside in that performance, I think Lundstrom in the middle of that park has been easily one of our top 3 key players.
The night is obviously, we were talking about before the break as well, that he's getting better, he's playing, he's like a different man under Clement again. But the night, I would say, is probably again maybe one of his best games this season, just in terms of that pass. It was everywhere.
You seen it usually with Lundstrom, before how it go, you'd see him take a first touch and then his second touch was always a tackle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But the night you seen a mere creative John Lundstrom. It was like it was out nowhere. He was all over the park, the likes of which we saw during his Europa League stint, but at the same time we also had that element that, see, the peak kind of Glenn Kamara type, where he had that a wee bit of creativity, recycling the ball. He wasn't just in there to be hash bash and physical, which we kind of signed him for and we used him in that role at the time, but you've seen him more creative than what some of our top creators in the team. For example, Cantwell, who I think has been getting away in terms of, I know like we love him, but like he's been getting away with far too much for far too long, in my opinion. The other night he got a goal, right, but up until that goal
as well,
he wasn't involved in much of the game. And the thing about it is, we can say Desser's getting a goal and he gets goal and he's got like decent goals and some of them important goals, but a lot of the fans would turn around about Desser's and say, but we can't let him away with it because of many, you know what I mean, 4 or 5 shots.
He scores that goal the night and then he misses, which is arguably an easier chance, one-on-one with a goalie, you know.
My point is, we can't no let Dessers away with it, but let Cantwell away for what, in my opinion, was missing for a lot of a period of time.
We spoke about it as well before the break, and what we were saying, even after the Old Firm and stuff like that as well, is that the second half of the season we need a lot more for Cantwell. And Cantwell should be the sort of the flair. The flair that you're getting off Lundstrom almost is what you should be expecting for Cantwell. But what I would say about Lundstrom, just sticking to analysing him for a bit, is that he might be our most all-round overall best player, like in terms of
he's not a master of anything, but he's just,
but overall,
he can do a job.
He likes to get on the ball, he can put in a tackle,
he can drop back, link up with his defence.
Sometimes you'll see him at the edge of the box, sometimes you'll see him at the edge of his own box, like he can drop into that wee hole between the two centre backs.
That's what his main job should be, like, especially when you're a midfielder that's almost like a kind of anchor type, like sitting back. Like, it's rare you kind of get, in most teams when you have that player, it's a defensive mentality. But if, in my opinion, if you give Lundstrom a free rein of the park, he's switched. He's got the football intelligence to be switched on enough to basically, if you can't free run of the park a lot of the time, you know, he'd lose the ball and he wouldn't track back. But with Lundstrom, you're not going to get that. I think Lundstrom...
I mean, can't look at how he starts the game tonight.
Aye.
Centre,
he passes
kicks it out for a shy.
I
don't think you're never got to have your best performance if that's how you start the game.
Exactly. And another player I'd like to give like a shout out to, I think Matondo had a decent game. I think his pace in the game... I think
he's got good ball retention as well. You know what I mean? He doesn't get away much.
That final ball anyway. Maybe
could improve,
but I think that pace. I think
he's a problem for teams.
He was a problem for Hibs, 100%. And
he's a good out ball to have. Absolutely. And again, I'm actually impressed. I thought he was going to, obviously, because before that wee spell, before he got injured, he was flying, you know what I mean? The best we've seen Matondo. Honestly, it's all we've seen for Matondo, but I was scared when he come back that he was going to be kind of average again, but I've been relatively impressed with him, to be honest.
Do you think he's a title winning winger? That's a question.
I think he could be,
He could be. In my opinion, if I look at him right now, I still think there's that key element missing for him. Like, again, I'd like to see him add more numbers, more goals. But
remember,
at the end of the day,
he's only come into the team and I would say he was our best player before he got injured. I think he was our best player before he got injured, man. He looked like, again, like a different player. It sort of came from nowhere because nobody really rated him at all, you know what I mean? But again, got to run in the team and then gets injured like our players do. But I think he's got potential at least. You know, I don't know what age he is exactly, but obviously he's still pretty young.
Quite young,
But I think there's a lot of potential. I mean, I was watching him the night and I was like, kind of reminds me of Ryan Kent, but the difference I think is that Matondo, maybe if maybe his crosses and stuff like that can improve, but I think he could have a better end product than Ryan Kent, to be honest. I think he could score more goals than Ryan Kent scored for us. I think he could have possibly more assists. I think he could just be a better player in general. So I think he has got that capability. But again, he's still got a lot of potential to fulfil, but I think it's promising, to be honest.
I mean, McCausland's been another player that I kind of think's kind of flew under the radar, but like in the wrong way. I think he's been quite quiet as well. Obviously, he's still trying. At the end of the day, for McCausland, right? We need to remember he's still young, he's still raw, but he offers himself for the ball all the time. He's always wanting to get in the ball. Like any mistake, he can kind of drop off and go quiet a lot of the time. But at these stages, at the parts of the game, you see Rangers want to play down one flank, so we're getting so much joy in the one flank that you can almost disappear in the game. Whereas you'd usually see, if that was the case, maybe he would come inside. Maybe Clement's not wanting to go with that style of play. Maybe want him sitting out in that touchline. But a lot of players try. I'd like to see McCausland try and come in and get a wee bit more involved in the game in that line. It's been that case over the past couple of games. It can pass him by a lot of the time.
But I think again, like McCausland coming into the team probably just peaked straight away. So now maybe his levels has dropped a wee bit.
100%, we need a right winger.
But we 100%. Do. But I think we really need a striker as well.
Oh,
you know what I mean? We need a goal scorer because. Was Desser's goal tonight? Was that a pass?
I don't know.
Pass or a shot?
We'll game it and see if he meant it right. That's.
But you just don't know what to expect for Desser's because the one he misses right is much easier than the one he scores, and the one he scores, I mean, he literally passes it in. I think he's trying to thread a through ball. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, right? It was a shot at goal, but the surprising look on his face when Balogun comes up to him at the celebration tells me otherwise.
It's kind of like...
I don't know what happened. But even if we did give him the benefit of the doubt, he does that and then he misses one that's probably much easier and he just kind of snatches at it. It's no composure. You know what I mean? And this is what really fucking frustrates me because you don't know what you're going to get, because he goes for the goal where you're like, that's a touch of class there, by the way. He's literally the defenders are about him, and he just sort of wee reverse pass by the keeper, and it trickles at the back of the net.
Keepers and all that
exactly.
Before, like some
but then
goals,
the second one's the one that's probably going to kill him over the long haul, you know what I mean, because he's got the time, and I think that's his problem. He's got too much time, and instead of being composed there and slotting it down into the bottom corner and getting a double, he fucking lashes at it, and it's straight down the keeper's throat.
With Dessers, to get any success out of Dessers, you need to put him almost in a tight space, and you need to ping the ball straight at him, and he's going to just maybe one touch at max, or ideally first time to hit a ping at goal. But the amount he does, you can see his brain just goes at a much higher speed than his body does at times.
Do you know my biggest peeve with Dessers, and maybe even a couple of other players as well, is it's very, very frustrating as a fan to know what sort of, like Cantwell's another example. You don't know what you're going to get. For 40 minutes he's pretty non-existent, you know what I mean, he's no great, and then all of a sudden pings one into that bag as well. You know what I mean, Dessers, he comes on and we're like, oh, here we go again. Slots one away, 2 minutes later misses a sitter. You're like, it's annoying when you can't. You need to be able to expect a sort of level off your player. Like Lundstrom, you're like, normally you know what you're going to get off of him. Butland, you know what you're going to get. Goldson, Tavernier. Whereas some of these other players could be doing with a bit more consistency throughout the 90 minutes.
Well, put it this way, if we had that up top, if we had that consistency, there's so many games that I think would be battering 3-4-5-0 every single game. 3-4-5-1. I think we'd have won the Old Firm. But at the end of the day, like, Clement's done incredibly well with the cards he's been dealt, and it's a shame that his first transfer window was January. But even though we've been out and we've spent allegedly £4.5 million on Diomande, who's got to be coming in soon, there's not much you can do in January. There's financially, and in terms of the market itself, like, there's no many players out there that's just switching teams off,
especially when it's what we're needing, which is a striker, and
especially when we've got specifics within the team, like specific profiles. It's so hard to find.
You're always going
to
pay a premium in January, especially if people get that vibe of desperation after like that they will be having with us, because they're like. But again, let's just talk a wee bit about Silva, because I thought he looked decent tonight. Obviously never got a goal, right, but I thought the big boy, he could maybe have been a bit kind of arrogant and stuff like that, and no put in like a lot of work, you know. He's thinking, I'm up in Scotland, I'm a £35 million player or whatever, maybe I'll just wait until the ball comes to me in a nice position, I'll score goals. But no, he looked like he was kind of desperate to get in the action. He was shutting down, he was coming and picking people's pockets, he was linking up.
But that's the thing, that's his kind of, he doesn't scream striker, but he's a player that I'd love to see more. If you're playing him in a front three in that striker position, he's almost like a false nine. He's in about the link up play. He's not one of the players that's going to be sitting on the goalkeeper like a poacher type, like getting goals that way. And he might not get a lot of goals, but I couldn't help but think to myself, if Cantwell's no firing, I would 100% put a striker in front of Silva.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Just put it, because not necessarily he's not really showed a creative side to the game. It's been more kind of solid link-up play. But that, to me, that's so much more a presence than what I've seen for Cantwell.
It'd be interesting to see him and Dessers on the part together as well, wouldn't it? Because I wonder what it does for Dessers, because again, about that service and the link-up play as well, like a lot of the times you kind of don't know what you're going to get with Cantwell, and that's something I'd like to see him improve. Obviously his link-up play at times is very good, but for me he needs to be a bit more cautious on the ball in terms of like not getting the ball away as easy, but you could say that for a number of the players at times.
Look at, for example, there's a lot of times with Silva, there's a lot of times where you were watching that game and you saw like a really intelligent attempt at a pass, like an intelligent dummy, but the likes of take Coslin for example, just on the wrong side of the defender, not on the same wavelength. Like, but that to me, like, I enjoyed watching that because that to me said, right, well, we've got somebody here who's clearly got that wee bit of flair. He's got that potential
creative
up in
into
there.
It, really.
He kind of seems to me like, judging early, like he's kind of level above a lot of the players in there, which he should be because he was once rated at 35 million quid.
Exactly.
Also, I'm not clued up on what he was like at other teams or how he ended up like on loan at Rangers, but you did kind of see in terms of like football mind wise, he was just like a wee bit of a level above with what he was expecting, the kind of passes he was trying to pull off, the chances he was attempting to create. So at 100%, I'd love to see him drop back and either be paired up there with somebody or drop back and have a player play in front of him just to see how that goes. Because definitely. Again, even though Cantwell, what a finish by it will take like nothing away from him.
Do you know what made that finish better? Obviously, because he got absolutely hammered with the two Hibs players like a couple of minutes before it, and I think that's honestly what's made it so sweeter for him to get that goal, and he was really lapping it in, you know what I mean? He was loving it, celebrating in front of Hibs fans and stuff like that. But I think maybe just getting a wee bit of a dig and fight back into him really helped him to score that goal, to be honest, because sometimes players, when they get frustrated, sometimes they can capitulate, they fall apart, whereas I think if you wind Cantwell up and he gets frustrated, sometimes you maybe get the best at him, to be honest. So I'd like to again see more of him, but again, that's what he's capable of. You know what I mean?
So we're back to 5 points. We've got another game in hand, takes us down to 2 points, and to be honest, I said like in my last video that the next 4 games, I think if we get all points for these next 4 games, I think we're in with a serious shout for the league title. And today
it'll come down to Old Firms if that's the case, you know what I mean?
Which, let's be honest, every single year it should come down to the Old Firms. It always has been. When you've got 2 teams like going for a title race every time, it should be like financially. When you look at us and look at the rest of the league, it should come down to the Old Firms.
That's where we've been left lacking, and it's the number one thing we've said we want to address this half of the season is absolutely essential that we win the next Old Firm at Ibrox.
100%.
You know,
100%. And like coming back to players, I think like obviously Raskin's a bit rusty, but I think he had a pretty poor game today.
I was a bit quiet. Obviously, gets subbed after 45 minutes again. Maybe that's all he's capable of fitness wise. But I'm still glad to see him back. You know what I mean? So because let's be honest,
he'll need a run.
He'll need a run. He'll need to get fitter. But even when Big Sterling comes on as well, he does well. He's a player. It's just unfortunate that he's kind of been used as the, I don't know, just slot in here, you know what I mean?
I think central midfield, I 100% trust him in that position.
So do I.
Because we've said it before, like, Lundstrom can run it again, but Lundstrom's got a specific role, right? And he's no the only thing missing for Lundstrom in his current form is that bit of pace, which Sterling, when he comes into that position, has in abundance.
He's got a change of speed as well.
Even though we kind of discredited Lundstrom before because he kind of broke down and slowed down the play, and I think that still happens there, even though he's added creative elements like to his game. But again, Sterling for me came into that midfield and he just injects a bit of tempo.
This is my only problem with us almost sort of looking at recruiting maybe another central type midfielder, you know what I mean? I think we need to get our priorities straight and find a striker, because I think we've got plenty in the middle of the park.
I will say, like, I think if you look at, like, if you look short term, 100%, there's bits of the team that 100% is addressed. But if you look at the long term and you want to almost kind of be known as a selling club and you want to make money that wise, a signing, even though like the midfield's got plenty of players, a signing like Diamande, with how he's been trained, but he's got so much potential. He's highly regarded in Scandinavian football. It's one of the players that you think, if we can get him for $4.5 million right now, if that opportunity crops up, you're never going to turn it down. Never in a million year, regardless of what bits of the team you need to kind of fill in. I still think that player, getting access to a player like that at that price, is something you can't turn down, because it's one of the players that you end up going, nah, we'll no sign him, we need a left back, we need a striker. Then you get your left back, you get your striker, one season goes on, you go, fuck, he's just moved to Everton for 40 million quid or something like that, you know what I mean? We passed that up to go for a young potential, maybe 23-year-old left back that we forked out nearly as much money for. So I think when opportunities present themselves, when you're a club that's looking to bring in players and sell them on, you've got to take it.
I'm not complaining, because I'd really like to see this boy at Rangers. I think I'm just more worried in terms of like,
you hope we're not neglecting.
I really hope, because I think that's what will cost us this season. I think it will cost us the league, and I think it will cost us a run in Europe if we don't find somebody that's clinical up front.
100%.
This is going to be
number one.
It's going to be the thing that really fucks our season up and kills us. Because I must say, I don't think we can rely on Dessers.
We can't.
And I don't think we can rely on this big Silva either, because like I was
I don't think he's a clinical goal scorer.
I think he will score a lot of goals for us, to be honest, but I don't. For instance, I'm just thinking about Old Firm game, you know what I mean? I'm thinking about tough challenges in Europe, and I'm thinking the whole of the rest of the team could have a fucking great performance, but it's,
especially in Europe, you can't afford the 2-3 missing. You cannot. You just don't get away with missing the chances.
Problem, you know what I mean?
It's alright domestically, because you're playing against lesser quality. But see if Dessers plays and he's missing, he gets the 1 or 2 chances at the start of the game wrong, then you're punished. You're done. You know what I mean? Teams aren't got to sit back and fucking take that. Like you're done. That's it. They've got to punish the mistakes every single time. You don't get.
I really want Dessers to come good as well, but I don't think it's going to happen.
He's he looks like such a likeable, nice guy until you see him take 4 touches and punt a ball right over the bar. But you never know. We've seen players who...
We'll see what we've got, like 9 days of the transfer window left. So, look, see at the end of the day, when the transfer window closes, we've got who we've got, and we're going to need to make do with them. And look, if MD can get a tune at them, Clement clearly can, you know. So, it's exciting. I'm glad we're back, man.
Wow. You're looking good. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure you like, subscribe as well. Remember the BlueSea channel memberships, link to that's down in the description, alongside our socials. Let us know what you thought about the game, let us know what you think about our title chances, let us know what you think about the transfer window so far, the potential Diamande signing, and we'll see you next time.